Just wanted to take the time to break down some scripture again, this time specifically through the book of Philippians, chapter 1, verses 12, 13, and 14. And Paul is the author of the book of Philippians. He was writing to the church of Philippi while he was in prison. It's one of the prison epistles, but there's something that's super interesting and should be ironically encouraging. It's a paradox of the gospel, is starting in verse 12. I want you to know, brothers and sisters, that what has happened to me has actually served to advance the gospel. So he's saying, okay, all of this persecution, me being in prison, it is helping to advance the gospel. And the first question we should ask is like, how is that possible if you're in prison? And he responds, so that it has become known throughout the whole imperial guard, saying like, hey, people are talking about this imprisonment that's happening. And the rest of that, my imprisonment, is for Christ. And so Paul is saying, because I went to prison for preaching Christ, everybody's talking about it. And most of the brothers, having become confident in the Lord by my imprisonment, are much more bold to speak. And so there's two benefits that we see here in these verses. One, that persecution and proclaimed gospel is spreading because of this, imprisonment, but also it's giving courage and boldness to those who actually did have the faith, because they're like, wow, Paul went to prison for this. This isn't something that he just picked up and decided to do over the weekend. He actually is committing his entire life to it. So when other people saw that persecution and boldness to go to prison for it, the church in Philippi and those around were actually like, wow, we can actually be bold too. Let's do this. And so an advancement of the gospel to believers and non-believers just through the imprisonment of Paul in the book of Philippians, chapter 1, verses 12, 13, and 14.